This is going to be my third and final video for the Saddleback Side Pocket Duffle. This is going to be the conclusion. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter video because I've hit most of the major points in my first two videos, but I wanted to kind of clean everything up and go through everything in detail with all of you. So, biggest criticisms of the Side Pocket Duffle. Let's run through those first. First, 5 straps. It's a little unnecessary. It makes for a very beautiful bag. There's a lot of symmetry in the design of this bag, which means that if you're going to put a strap on one side, you better put it on the other so it looks good. There's a very nice balance to it. The center strap is exactly what you expect from Saddleback in terms of its design. That's what tells people the bag you have. Someone that knows Saddleback leather can see the center strap from blocks away and know exactly what type of bag you have. Other gripes about this bag, the side pocket design. I feel like they could have made this better and easier by separating the lid from the strap for the side pocket. I get it gives you more security, but plenty of their backpacks have the strap itself built into the lid for the pocket, which creates an independent pocket that is not dependent on the lid to unstrap. By adding these straps along the top, you add this level of just complexity that makes it so difficult to access the bag. It adds 2 straps you have to undo to open the top and a more difficult strap system to open the side pocket itself. Just the combination of the two, even though it does look nice, creates a very frustrating situation when you need to quickly access a pocket. The other part about this bag, Saddleback doesn't create a lot of bags that are built to have a rigid structure. This bag does. You can see that in experience in the design of the handle and the shoulder straps. The handle itself is fairly well designed in terms of width and ability to hold it. There's really no other place you can put a handle in a bag just because of how the bag is weighed and how the weight is distributed. It kind of has to be right at the center. The piece that bothers me is for the shoulder straps. Why they placed it in the middle of the top, halfway between the end of a handle and the very edge of the bag is absolutely beyond me. Because what you end up with is straps that are just too close together. It just looks odd when you have the shoulder straps on. Why are they so close to the handle in the center of the bag? It just doesn't make any sense. In terms of aesthetics, it just looks a little weird. You would really expect shoulder straps to be at the ends and edges of bags because that's how bags are loaded and that's how they're carried most comfortably. What you end up with if you do a little bit of physics and you talk about the vectors that are pulling along this is you have weight pulling in 4 separate directions. You have weight over the front that's pulling this back. You have weight from the center that's pulling it back towards the center, and you have equally distributed weight on either side. Because this piece of weight isn't distributed, this vector is leaned more towards the center. So because of weight here and the subtraction of the 2 vectors, instead of putting it at the end in which the angle isn't as steep, the closer you move it to the middle, the steeper this angle is going to get that it naturally will conform to. When you have 2 pieces with very steep angles coming together, it creates a very awkward shoulder strap where its natural place it wants to be is the absolute center. It also makes it very difficult to carry when the straps are this far from the back because the bag itself, the way it's loaded, it's all along the center piece here. This kind of axis is where all the weight is going to be evenly distributed. However, your shoulder in your body is going to be over here behind the bag because your shoulder is actually over your legs. So if you have your shoulder in the natural area you want to carry it back here and the bag itself with the natural area you want to carry it up front, you end up with an imbalance, which means one of 2 things has to happen. Either your body is going to angle itself so your shoulder naturally falls over here, which means that you're now walking at an awkward angle, or the bag has to angle itself to conform and it's going to tilt back slightly, which means that instead of distributing the whole weight of the bag along the single back panel against your body, you're now distributing it against this top edge right here, right along your body, which gets very, very frustrating because this top edge almost always corresponds to where your leg is. So not only is it pushing all of its weight along your leg is moving back and forth along this bag, the bag starts swinging, and the whole thing gets incredibly uncomfortable to carry. When you see people traveling with these bags and walking long distances, you almost invariably see them traveling by carrying the handle. It works, but it's heavy, which makes it a difficult thing to carry by its handle. I really wish the design was changed in which where the shoulder strap was carried from was towards the edge. I get they couldn't do that in its design because of the design language they chose to do with a strap that goes over the side, which gets back to my point. If they had just created the side strap to be affixed to the top cover like they do in their backpacks, then this piece, this connection point for the shoulder strap, could have been moved out to here without too many issues. Now that that's out of the way, a couple great things about this bag. I love its rigid structure. The rigid structure of the bag allows you to pack things efficiently and organize them well. The other pieces of luggage that Saddleback makes are far too pliable for my liking. What ends up happening is the bag itself conforms to your clothing inside. Your clothing doesn't have a rigid structure, which means everything just gets wrinkled and messed up and the bag just looks weird. The water bag is a beautiful bag, but it doesn't have a lot of rigidity and structure to it. This bag does, which means that when you get to where you need to go, your clothing isn't wrinkled, it's still neatly folded and in its place because you have the square at the top and the square at the bottom providing the structure for the bag. I absolutely love that. I also love this back magazine pocket. This bag desperately needs this because it's so difficult to access. Anything you need quick access to, you have to have a place to put it with an unsecured pocket. And it's large enough that you can fit a bunch of stuff in here if you want to. Last part of the bag I really love is just the balance in its design. More the aesthetic of the bag. You know, the difficulty of using all of these straps is balanced by the fact that it's absolutely gorgeous when you have to use all these different straps and all the different hardware. You have to interact with it to get your bag open and closed. That interaction is what you love. No one spends, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a leather bag that's way more expensive than nylon, way more easy to scuff, easy to get dirty, and heavier unless they want to actually feel and touch leather on a regular basis. This allows you to interact with your leather a little bit more, feel that hardware, feel that connection. Using this bag gives you a really close connection to the bag and kind of forces you to manipulate it, which for leatherheads is exactly what you're looking for in a bag. So I will say, despite all of its small misgivings and design errors that I see, I would still say that this overall is a great bag and I absolutely love it. So this is my review of my Saddleback Side Pocket Duffle.